Hello, hello, Regis Gilman is the name, and TEPPEN is the game, and the new TEPPEN expansion, Day of Nightmares, is already here. That was crazy fast, crazy awesome. And I want to talk about my top 5 cards that were revealed with the expansion launch. We've already got a little bit of gameplay with some of these, but essentially these are the cards I see the most promise for, even if they aren't being played immediately right now in this like quick post-launch meta. These are still cards I think you should keep an eye on that have a lot of potential to just do some really crazy powerful stuff, or they just synergize really well with their color or certain styles of decks. So that said, let's go ahead and jump into specifically here my top 5 unit cards, and then we're also going to do some action cards from Day of Nightmares in a future video, but this time around we're sticking to the characters and the units. Let's check out this list. Up first here is Kushala Daora the Storm. It is a new legendary for green, one of the 2 new legendary units for green. It's a 6 MP card, it's a 2/6 stat line, and has a bundle of effects here. First off, flight, which is really important. And then when on the field, reduce damage taken of 3 or less to 1. So this incredible defensive utility that means it's going to be really hard to chip away at Kushala Daora. It's going to require some bigger removal commitments or bigger damage chunks to succeed in killing it. And then finally, after dealing damage to the enemy hero, returns a random enemy unit with 5 HP or less to the deck. So this incredible removal tool, if this can actually connect with face. And because it has flight, it's probably going to connect with face pretty often. Like, this is actually going to be hitting the enemy hero a ton, which means it's going to be hard for your opponent to actually keep anything in play that's cheap. And against a lot of decks, that's just going to serve as this incredible removal tool. It might get off multiple instances of removal before your opponent can actually find a way to kill this thing, because it's actually kind of hard to deal with too, which means it's going to be this just ridiculous tempo play where you spend 6 MP, you might remove like 10, 15 MP worth of stuff from your opponent, you might do some damage, there's some combo potentials to set up even more crazy stuff with Kushala, protecting it with buffs and shields and so on and so forth. So if you could get this thing going, the potential to like snowball a game in just a few quick attacks, I think totally exists and is going to make this thing a bit of a nightmare to deal with, and the meta could shape itself around this one. So Kushala Daora, I'm keeping an eye on this card a ton. Moving on here to Jill, Seeker of Truth. Of course, the centerpiece here for Day of Nightmares, and she's getting her own legendary card. It is a 5 MP 2/9, much more exciting stat line than our last card. And she's also got some effects here to work with. When exploring, she gains the following abilities in order shown below. So anytime you activate an Explorer style effect, which there are a bunch of new Explorer effects, the first time you get Veil, the second time you get Combo, and the third time you get +4 attack. So Jill is starting off with a pretty meaty stat line to begin with, and then if you get all 3 of these off, this is a scary card, going up to 6 attack, becoming much harder to deal with from a removal standpoint, and also with combo just doing lots of extra damage. So, if you pull off a couple quick, cheap Explorers, which is not necessarily hard to do, Jill quickly becomes this just tank card that can carry you to victory on her own, and at only 5 MP and without much downside to begin with, because her stat line is really sticky in the first place. I could see that being a win condition for some Explorer-style decks. Just going in on Jill, making her, centerpiece, as I said before, and not only in name, but in function on the board as well. Jill, Secret Truth, much like our previous card, seems like it can be a big finisher piece. Moving on to our last legendary in this video, it's Jury Purple Spider for purple, and she's a 5 mana 2/8, another pretty solid base stat line there. And her effect reads, after dealing damage to the enemy hero, explore for Feng Shui Engine. If you don't know Feng Shui Engine, this is a new Explorer reward. It's a 2 MP action card. It gives a friendly unit +1/+4, so +1 attack, +4 health, agility, combo, and spillover. And what that means is anything that gets Feng Shui Engine is this just absurd snowball engine that can turn a game in a moment's notice, because not only is it getting a buff to its raw stats, and a really nice buff for 2 MP, by the way, that's a hyper efficient buff, It's also getting agility, so it's going to be attacking super quick, combo to pump out tons of damage, and spillover means it's even going to have some enemy unit removal abilities as well. It's not just about killing a single thing, but actually going kind of wide on the board. And if you can give Jury flight, which not super hard to do in purple, then that means she's probably going to be able to attack the enemy hero fairly often, or not maybe fairly often, but at least once or twice, get you a couple feng shui engines. Those are so powerful for 2 MP. There's such a strong tempo play that might be enough to just overwhelm your opponent. Even if you're not committing them to Jury immediately, which is probably fine, by the way, then you can commit them to something else, swing the board, pump out tons of damage, just overwhelm your opponent. Purple is already good at following up on these sorts of things, and I feel like this card is an even better one to build on in a lot of ways. Plus, just cheap, awesome action cards can do a lot of work in purple as well, and Feng Shui Engine's perfect for that. So all in all, this seems like the ideal, like, super synergy card for purple, and I think this card's going to be all over the place. Up next here, I wanted to get at least one black card in this video, so we've got Albert Wesker, a 5 MP 03. What, Regis? That doesn't sound that exciting, but note this effect. When played, it gains +1/+1 for each time Revenge has activated. So in a swarmy Revenge deck that's got a ton of low-cost Revenge minions, this means your Albert Wesker is going to get pumped up pretty quickly. You might be able to activate 5, 6, 10 Revenge cards before playing Wesker, which means he's going to be like, you know, a 6/9 if you get 6 of them. Maybe even like a 10/13 for 5 MP, which can be a really nice follow-up for these Revenge decks that are already just pumping out so much pressure. Your opponent's just barely on the back foot, surviving. They've kept up. Then you drop this bomb on them, and it's just like that breaks their back. They cannot recover. So Albert Wesker could be a great finisher, that final threat in an early Swarm Revenge style deck. I think that could be really cool for this card, so I'm looking forward to dropping this bomb on some people. I think it's going to be a solid addition to that kind of play. And then finally, one last card here. We have Layer, another green card coming in at 4 MP. It's a 1/5, and again, a bundle of stuff. Shield, so a lot of survivability here. MP boost, which is personally in red-green decks my favorite kind of way to play. I love having tons of MP. Just why can't I hold all this MP and just play a ton of cards, right? Just overwhelming your opponent with actions and cards is amazing. So we've already seen green utilize these sorts of cards really effectively, but Layer essentially kind of ups the ante there and does it much better than these other historical versions have done. So it's an obvious fit. Like, this card just makes so much sense in that kind of deck. And it also has another bonus effect we haven't even talked about. When played, deals 3 damage to a random enemy with flight. So occasionally this might give you that final push of damage you need against some big combo card like the Juries and stuff we saw previously. That your opponent's really investing in some kind of flight minion. This gives you maybe a cheap way to chip away at it, along with probably some other removal will be necessary to fully clear it, or just an attack trade or whatever it is. But Layer just gives you that possibility. And sometimes you may not even care about the deal 3 damage aspect. You might just play Layer preemptively to get things moving on your end, to get that MP boost flowing. But occasionally that bonus just makes this card a little bit better. And when you have a card that already makes a lot of sense, and then you make it just a little bit better with some kind of unique variation, some niche application, that's a really good sign that it's going to just do something. Sometimes give you that boost to your win rate, gain a few percentage points here and there. That's what makes cards amazing instead of just really strong. So yeah, I think Layer is absolutely going to be amazing. And there you go. Those are my top 5 Day of Nightmares unit cards. I think all of these are going to be pretty darn powerful. Maybe not right away, but just keep an eye on these. They fit the fundamental synergies of their colors. There are decks that can support these. So cards that will inevitably, in my mind, be impactful in the TEPPEN meta. Now, that said, I'm also going to talk about some big action cards from Day of Nightmares soon, so stay tuned for that video. If you still haven't checked out TEPPEN and these cards sound intriguing to you and you want to learn what the heck I'm talking about, there are some links in the description and comments below to download the game. I've been having a ton of fun with it. Lots of community members have been playing this one too, and enjoy it a ton. You can friend request me. We can hop into some games. It's definitely a great time to be had for all. A little bit of a different speed and energy than some of the games we're known for around here. So I think you'll like the skill testing nature of it, and the skill ceiling is pretty crazy. and it's just fast and fun. That said, thank you so very much for watching, and until next time, game on.